Good evening. Welcome to the July 20th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Chris, will you call the roll?
Councilman Whalen?
Here.
Councilwoman Stander?
Here.
Councilman Romano?
Here.
Councilwoman Wallowit? Here. Supervisor Barrett?
Here. No meeting minutes this evening, correct? Communications and announcements, couple of quick updates. We held our fifth public protective mask distribution last week. It was fairly busy. Wasn't as busy as the first four, but we still had at least a couple of hundred cars come through. It provided many masks, obviously, to a lot of Clifton Park residents. We've also been working with the Clifton Park IDA to provide mask donations to businesses. And we have thousands of masks that have gone out to Clifton Park businesses of all varying types for the last few weeks. And we've had opportunity to talk to those businesses and express their appreciation for having those masks available for them, their employees, their customers, and providing peace of mind. Particularly when it is difficult to get the mask. Might be a little easier now than it was, say, a month or so ago when we started the program, but they're still expensive and can be difficult to secure. So that project has been going very well. Just this morning, we had another few businesses come and pick up. And for those that don't know, what we did was set up a email, masks@cliftonpark.org. So any Clifton Park business can send an email requesting masks to that address. We respond right away, and then set aside masks for them to pick up. So that way they can come anytime between Monday and Friday to get the masks. So I want to thank the IDA for their partnership with that important program. We also have a grant program that we're partnering with the IDA on, and the grant program is intended to help businesses cover the expenses related to preparing for opening and operating due to SOP alterations in their with their businesses. So whatever expenses they had relating to COVID, leading up to opening, and while they're operating, those expenses can be covered through this IDA grant. It's a short application process, but the application process is important because it does allow verification that the business was in operation prior to the COVID pandemic and continues to be a viable business today. Obviously, we want to make sure that money is not distributed to businesses that have closed permanently or that are not viable. And so really that's what the process is intended to achieve. And that is to ascertain the viability of the business and to also obviously keep a record keeping of the funds that are distributed and to who and for what. So that program just went out in the middle of last week, and I think we have 10 or 11 applications in as of this afternoon. So it's just another way for us to assist our businesses here in Clifton Park. As soon as restaurants were allowed to operate Many of them we figured would want to expand their outdoor seating right away because of the limits that were placed on them. Even though they were allowed to operate, they were only able to operate at a reduced capacity. So we eliminated what is typically a more lengthy permitting process to erect a tent next to the establishment, and also eliminated the fee associated with that permit. Turned it into a simple one-day application, inspection by the building department, and then no fee. So there's been many ways that the town and our partners have worked to help Clifton Park businesses. I know they appreciate it with all the headwinds that they're experiencing, even leading to opening. And then when there's any sort of bad news associated with their industry locally, from what I've heard through anecdotal evidence, that has also negatively affected their business. So they certainly have gone through a difficult time, and unfortunately, that will continue for a while. So anything we can do to help them maintain a strong business as they rebuild is important. Obviously, all of us out there supporting the businesses with our money is the ultimate decision maker, and that will give them the ability to continue to prosper. So those are a couple of programs that are also underway. So we'll continue to provide masks to residents as well as businesses here in the next few weeks. If anybody is interested in the grant that I just mentioned, you can go to cliftonpark.org. There's a headline there where you can find all the information. There's a letter that explains the program and the application, as well as the application itself, which is fillable. So it's we're making the process as easy as possible. I want to thank Supervisor Shop, who's chairman of the IDA, and the IDA board for their hard work on these initiatives. There's a couple of things I wanted to speak to, or at least have discussion with the board this evening. One relates to the upcoming plan at this point, August outdoor concerts as part of our Sunday concert series. We canceled all of the concerts in July. And now all that remains is 3 concerts in August. Now, as far as the general conditions, we're obviously in phase 4 now, much different situation than June or even most of July. I think right now we're hovering about seemingly, check before I came up, but roughly 60 active cases in Saratoga County currently, COVID cases. And 2, I know we do have 2 people hospitalized with COVID. So that's the current situation as far as our number of cases and hospitalizations. Now, where the concerts are held, our outdoor stage, is a fairly large green area there, and it is a place where people can definitely spread out. Of course, if we were to hold the August concerts, we would ask that people do distance and also wear a mask, particularly if they're walking anywhere on the ground, anywhere. Basically, if they're anywhere other than within their family unit, relaxing in an area, in the green area, watching the concert, we'd ask them to wear a mask. So I wanted to get the board's thoughts on this. Mariah Formica is scheduled for the first concert in August. Um, we also have Georgie Wonder's big band, and the third one is the Jukebox Rebellion. So, I mean, I believe we can safely have the concerts. We've seen with the pools and camps, restaurants reopening. Typically, the amount of people attending any of those events or activities or leisure establishments, seemingly they start very slow. You know, the attendance ramps up over a particular period of time, but people are obviously concerned, and so I don't know what our turnout would be. I don't think we'd have the normal turnout that we have on a typical, nice Sunday night in August with our concert series. We usually get very good crowds. Even the good crowds that we get, typically throughout the years, there's still plenty of room. I mean, other than July 4th, where people are just packed in that green area. On a typical Sunday night, there already is space to distance, and I think, based on what I just said, as far as people not going out as much, and when they do, they kind of ease into attending public places. I think the crowds would probably be lower than we're accustomed to. So I'll just throw it out there if there's any thoughts. Like I said, I think we can do it safely. We can certainly do a test run with the first concert in August. Mariah Formica, she always has a very good crowd, good following. And then go from there. I mean, we can take it one by one. We can just tell the bands that as of now, we expect to move forward. If for any reason we change that course, well, we obviously notify them right away. But so that's what I want to throw out for discussion and see where the board might fall on that item. If there's any comment.
I think people are so anxious to get out that the opportunity, that safe opportunity in town is that that's what people also want to be. And I think that they understand. But everyone does seem to be very anxious to get back to where the houses, events and restaurants and businesses. I think that we should proceed, see how it goes. Is there any way we can do both, live stream and live? I mean, they can.
Oh, yeah.
So they can
yeah.
do both, they can either go or stay home, but they still get to see the film.
Right. Oh, yeah, we could live stream. Yeah, sure.
No, I think, we should, I think we should.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the guidelines being in place and being outside, that certainly helps mitigate concerns. So I think from that standpoint, to your point, I mean, we'll see what the crowds are. If a handful of people show up and bands decide they want to play to an empty house, so to speak. I think it's certainly worth giving a shot.
And that is the other side of it, how many people might show up. So that's a concern as well. Nobody likes to play to an empty house, I assure you.
Put it back out there.
Well, how about that? What?
I think it's a good idea. We've got beautiful green space over there by the stage, and I think it's roomy enough, and we can set up proper procedures, and I think that it would be a really good time for people to kind of enjoy a little respite from the last 4 months.
Yeah.
It's difficult for people, so I think it's a good idea. We have the space to provide, we've got the entertainment lined up, and I think it's a good idea to do it.
Okay. Why don't we do this? I mean, why don't we say that, hey, for the first concert, we'll move forward, see how things go. That's typically a younger crowd. For Mariah, she's played there a few times now. If the crowd isn't there for that one, maybe we should think twice about the other two. Certainly the big band, which are my favorites, obviously. So I'll be there, but that's an older crowd. And I could understand if certainly that concert didn't have a large draw. Not because of the band, but because of the makeup of the people that would be interested in a big band concert. So why don't we do that and see how the first one goes? And I'll, we'll contact the other two bands and just tell them we're going to take a wait and see. I think that's a prudent step. So, boards do that, and we'll try that.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yeah.
before you continue,
Sure.
so we're considering that there might not be enough of a crowd, but I would consider that there would be a sizable crowd, because Maria Thornton is quite popular, and she has drawn quite significant crowds in the past. Are we considering putting a limit on the capacity of people that would be allowing in?
I think we just have the distancing standards. That's something that the federal judge made clear with his ruling not too long ago, a few weeks ago. Basically, that there was no limits on gatherings. Instead, having the following the CDC guidelines as far as masks and distancing and so on and so forth, that should be the focus. So I would say that it would be very difficult to limit the number, and instead provide signage and remind people as they come in of the important guidance to follow. All right. The second thing is, many of us feel bad. Well, we feel bad for a lot of the businesses in town and across the country, but certainly gyms, local fitness centers, yoga establishments are getting hurt worse than possibly anybody due to the fact that they're still closed. They're unable to operate. And again, being outside, I just talked about being outside is an advantageous option and one that works much better than indoors at this point. So the topic of allowing businesses of that type to run some classes on public property. Now we do allow that. You do need to provide insurance, fill out an application, and get permission that way. There's a minimal charge as well, $17 an hour. But the thought is to help these businesses, allow them to conduct classes on public property. Particularly the common is where they like to do this. So a couple of ideas along those lines. One would be, until the New York State mandate is lifted regarding the closure of these businesses, or limits on how many people can be part of a class within these businesses, and that's indoors. That they be able to use public property like the common to have classes and showing the proof of insurance and filling out the application, going through the normal process, but that if they are a Clifton Park business, and there's a number of them, if they are a Clifton Park business, that they would not be charged the permit fee for classes less than 20 people. Now, I think we also would want to put a limit on the number of people in the class too, to say 50. Not for any other reason other than, I think we have to be careful about types of activities that occur on the common. We don't want 75 or 100 people to show up. You know, a manageable group like 20 or even 50 is okay, especially since there's less going on at the common right now. The senior center's closed. The lacrosse camp's over. And lacrosse field hockey camp. Full day camp is still operating, but that's not an issue. As far as also accommodating classes like this, obviously if they go through this process, they're scheduled, so there's not a bunch of them happening at one time. So, and then if they are a business outside of Clifton Park, then they would pay the rental fee. Or we could just keep it to Clifton Park businesses. And, just not to charge a fee for under 20 people in a class. I would say if there's more than 20 people in a class, then they should pay the $17 an hour fee, which again is rather reasonable. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that idea. Again, it's a short-term option for the town to assist these businesses that really don't have any other option other than to remain closed and not be able to operate their business. If they're able to come to a place like the Common, which is centrally located, have their customers there, at least they can do obviously you can't replicate a gym on the Common, but you can do a area of exercises. Yoga obviously can be done fairly easy out in the Common or another park. So those types of activities, I think, would mesh very well with what we're trying to do overall to help businesses. And like I said, since there's less going on at the Common, the opportunity to have clashing uses, I think, is minimized tremendously. And again, this will be short term. Hopefully, these businesses will be able to open soon, and they can get back to operating as normal. So I just wanted to throw that out for consideration and comment.
I think it's an excellent idea. I've seen a lot of businesses, gyms especially, those that have been hit hard, getting creative, holding classes in parking lots, cul-de-sacs, under gazebos, whatever space they could find. What better place to go than a Common? That's a nice lush green grass and hold your class, and I think it's a great idea. It's a huge market in this town for people to get out there, and our gyms are suffering. And, I think it's a great thing to offer, and I think maybe we could start with 55 businesses and offering it elsewhere as well, but certainly give a preference to our 55 businesses. Make sure that they're not scheduled out of their own time. But I think it's a great idea to open it up. I think it's not only a great idea, but our responsibility. It's having this space. We've got a lot of space to offer, and providing this process to offer is a good idea.
You know, we talk about going through this pandemic, and we did a few Zoom meetings with some experts in different areas and public meetings. One of them, I think the one that received the most response was the doctor, Melissa Bratton, on the exercise side, and also a nutritionist, just talking about bolstering your immune system and living healthy. Well, what better way to continue along those lines by allowing these businesses and their customers to get together, hold classes, and get some exercise while the weather is still cooperating. We won't be doing this in the winter, that's for sure. Mr. Romano.
No, I can support that, but I would like to see it limited to Clifton Park businesses initially. I think, there's other communities, they have space, maybe they can do it in the parks.
Mhm.
but just to give our businesses the opportunity.
Yeah, I think looking at Clifton Park businesses, not necessarily Clifton Park residents, participants,
Right.
but businesses.
The business.
Right, that is, and to your point, I mean, who knows what we'll be in 3 months, but I'll not exercise. Well, 3 months maybe, but not 3.
For the Hardy.
Yeah.
That's true, that's a whole different,
Yeah, I would like to, yeah, the priorities, certainly, I think, for people, for research, and I assume that the cooking for business, will be bringing in people from other areas.
Mhm.
So, you know, that, this is that. Also in priorities, just because of something else that's been in the news lately, have you been approached by the school for student, practice fields for soccer, lacrosse, or football, because they have to put off, unfortunately, their season? Our students, do we have any student activities that you have been contacted with that we need help with here? Like sometimes soccer.
Yeah, it does happen, almost every year where the school will contact us and want to use the soccer fields or baseball fields, mainly the soccer fields. No, they haven't.
So there's not gonna be a conflict with the state, so plan.
You mean as far as these?
Yeah, the least.
No, I think,
Okay.
I think the best place for these types of activities to be held would be the stage or the green area in front of the stage or the other green area between the basketball courts and the ice rooms. So I think that would be, I don't think the soccer fields would be the best place for this. Particularly since, full day camp is
Yeah, that's-
just on the
Yeah, that's why I was
side,
wondering
but-
if they already have,
Yeah, I would keep them towards the stage here.
alright,
But I don't expect to hear from the school fields this year due to the fact that their fields haven't received any use whatsoever. And the season, if it proceeds, which is up in the air, it'll be later than normal. So I don't expect to hear from the school as far as needing fields this year. Although I believe, as far as New York State's concerned, those facilities can be used. Maybe Tom has other information, but, I mean, right now, those fields can be used. School facilities can be used, as far as I know.
yeah, they can still practice and do, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think
They just can't play.
I don't think there's any prohibition as far as the state's concerned on whether or not school property and facilities can be used. But,
Right.
all right, so, very good. So we'll move forward, with Clifton Park businesses, at least initially, and, get that word out and have just a quick process for them to utilize these areas, and hopefully at some time soon they'll be able to open and operate as normal. All right, we do have a few resolutions for consideration. Chris, if you could keep through those for us.
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a license agreement with Clifton Park Capital Piranhas for use of the Barney Road and Burning Bush pools for swim team practice. Whereas Clifton Park Capital Piranhas wish to utilize the 2 town-owned pools for a term of 6 weeks to commence on July 6, 2020, and expire on August 14, 2020, at a rate of $40 per hour per pool, plus the hourly rate of all town employees working at the pools during practice hours. Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to sign the attached license agreement with Clifton Park Capital Piranhas for use and occupation of the Barney Road Pool and Burning Bush Pool, provided that the town is provided a certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the town of Clifton Park as additionally insured. A resolution hiring head lifeguards for the 2020 summer season for Barney Road Pool and Country Knolls Pool. Whereas it is necessary for head lifeguards to be hired to assist in the management of Barney Road Pool and Country Knolls Pool. And whereas the supervisor has recommended that the following individuals be hired as head lifeguards at the Barney Road Pool and Country Knolls Pool at the following rate. Elena Martin, Barney Road, 2 Jennifer Drive, Clifton Park, $12.20. Erin Fieldhouse, Country Knolls Pool, 21 Outlet Road, Boston Lake, $12.45. Nicholas Okonetis, Country Knolls Pool, 12 Oxford Park, Boston Lake, $12.20. Elizabeth Morgan, Country Knolls Pool, 4 Evergreen Terrace, Boston Lake, $12.20. Now therefore be it resolved that the above individuals shall be hired as head lifeguards at Barney Road Pool and Country Knolls Pool as of the beginning of the pool season to be paid at the rate as stated. A resolution appointing Margaret Springley as a marriage officer in the town of Clifton Park for 1 day, August 1st, 2020. Whereas the state domestic relations law, section 11C, authorizes town boards to appoint marriage officers who shall have the authority to solemnize marriages within the town. And whereas town resident Margaret Springley of 11 Eastwood Drive wishes to serve as a marriage officer in the town pursuant to the New York State Domestic Relations Law for 1 day, Saturday, August 1st, 2020, and for 1 ceremony, that being for the marriage of Carl F. Springley and Kayla M. Delaney. Now therefore be it resolved that Margaret Springley, 11 Eastwood Drive, Boston Lake, is hereby appointed as a marriage officer in the town of Clifton Park pursuant to New York State Domestic Relations Law, section 11C for 1 day, August 1st, 2020, and for 1 ceremony, that being the marriage of Carl Springley and Kayla Delaney. A resolution adopting the budget for the Clifton Park Sewer District Number 2. Whereas the town board established Clifton Park Sewer District Number 2 by resolution number 120 of 2020. And whereas it is necessary to establish a budget reflecting revenues and expenditures totaling $183,654 for the remainder of 2020. Now therefore be resolved that the budget is amended as listed on the attached Schedule A. A resolution authorizing the roof replacement of the town hall building in Clifton Park Senior Community Center. Whereas the supervisor wishes to replace the roofs on the town hall and the senior community center. And whereas bids were obtained for roof replacement of the buildings on July 15, 2020. I'm missing some information on this resolution, on who was awarded to.
Oh, yeah, that's in our pack.
I think I thought you were gonna explain it and fill it in.
Yeah, we're gonna, Zach Comstock's here from Garland and Judas, so we'll be discussing that. Okay. All right, any questions on the resolutions? Okay, Chris, could you read the headings, please?
Resolution number 135 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a license agreement with Clifton Park Catherine Piranhas for use of the Barney Road and Burning Bridge pools for swim team practice. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. The Clifton Park Half-Moon Piranhas is a private club, swim club, and they do compete against other private clubs. Coach is Chuck Dunham. Chuck is the head swim coach over at Chet. Chuck approached us about leasing 2 pools this year, Barney Road Pool and Country Knolls Pool. And after assessing what the going rate was for pool rentals, and considering that we would want at least one person, one Clifton Park town employee on site at all times, somebody that is familiar with the facility and its operations, and who to contact if there's an issue, do the water testing, so on and so forth, all of the regular responsibilities of our guards at the pools. We came up with a rate of $40 per hour, and each pool is being leased for 4 hours, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. They get up nice and early and go swimming. So, again, that's Country Knoll School, Barney Road Pool, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., Monday through Friday, $40 per hour per pool. And they're also paying for the cost of our having staff on site for the reasons I described. They've also provided proof of insurance, and so we look forward to this relationship not only in 2020, but perhaps in future years. But so far, so good. Reports from the pools have been very positive as far as our town employees are concerned, as well as the club itself. So that's where we are. So that's a new relationship this year, not something we've done in the past. Any questions on it? All right, Chris?
Resolution number 136.
Oh, we have to vote on that.
Oh, sorry. Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowicz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Yeah, we need to read it next time.
Resolution number 136 of 2020, a resolution hiring head lifeguards for the 2020 summer season for Barney Road Pool and Country Knolls Pool.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walworth. The other good part of having this arrangement with the Clifton Park Piranhas is with the abbreviated pool season this year, some of our guards were able to secure some additional working hours. Normally, we don't have people at the pool from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. So that's been a good result of that relationship. But we welcome back this very talented and experienced group of individuals who will be life head guards through the 2020 season. Okay, Chris.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowicz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 137 of 2020, a resolution appointing Margaret Springley as a marriage officer of the town of Clifton Park for 1 day, August 1, 2020.
So moved. Second.
By Ms. Walworth, second by Mrs. Standard. We wish Carl and Kayla all the best. So a long and prosperous marriage. Okay, Chris?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowicz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 138 of 2020, a resolution adopting the budget for the Clifton Park Sewer District Number 2.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. This is for the Crescent Waste, what was Crescent Waste Sewer System, that was recently abandoned to the town of Clifton Park. We embarked on a process of notifying the 2,000 customers of the system that the private owner had expressed interest in abandoning the system to the town of Clifton Park. We had a public hearing and continued through that process of establishing a special district. So that has been done. Now, after establishing a special district, there's a 30-day referendum period, and that has expired. Received nothing but positive comments from residents in the transfer and ownership. They're, I think, much more comfortable with the town operating the system on a day-to-day basis. Now, leading up to the eventual transfer and ownership, that for our purposes occurred July 1st, really. That was the date that the private owner had established as the target date for the transfer. Mike O'Brien and his group were busy installing some important upgrades to the system. The Crescent Way sewer system will be on the same monitoring system as our other districts that we have assumed ownership of, which is very important because problems can be detected prior to them becoming emergencies. We've also done some upgrading of electrical systems at the pump stations. Also installed some bypass systems, and I'll be honest with you, I don't exactly understand all the mechanics of the new bypass systems, but I know it does allow the sewer department more flexibility if there's a problem within the pipes in the system. So all of those are very good upgrades, and what we always try to do is minimize any effect to the individual customer if a problem arises, and to minimize the issues before they become emergencies. All of those three initiatives that I just explained are all intended to be installed with that goal in mind. So we're moving forward, and I'm sure there'll be some challenges well, I know there's going to be challenges ahead, as I described in the letter that I sent to 2,000 customers. There's no money that exchanges hands in these transactions. The systems are abandoned to the town. So we don't pay for the systems, but we do inherit the problems. And the systems aren't new, decades old. So Mike and his team have just done the best they can over the last, let's say, month at this point, assessing any trouble areas. I do want to thank the former owner and his team for pointing out some areas that were of concern to them. So Mike has a heads up on those areas. It was the same thing with the other systems that were abandoned to us, where there were a few problem areas that required special attention and consistent monitoring. That'll be the same here. But as we prioritize capital projects and improvements, we'll look to minimize any future issues in these potentially troublesome areas. So I just want to say that Mike and his team have done a great job so far. We'll move forward, and I'll keep the board updated if there are any issues that arise. But we'll certainly try to keep costs to a minimum, improve service to everybody within the system, and like I said, we'll be prioritizing capital projects. Okay. Any questions? Comments? Okay, Chris?
Councilman Quinlan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowit?
Yes,
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 139 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the roof replacement for the Town Hall building and Clifton Park Senior Community Center.
someone? Second?
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. Zach Comstock is here, Tom, if you could just allow him to take your spot there with the microphone as we have a distance here and limit capacity. How you doing, Zach?
Good.
Good. So you've been working on this project for a little bit. I do want to say I expected to have these bids in earlier than just the end of last week. They were delayed about a week. We had multiple bidders ask for a little more time, and the reasoning for that, Zach, was basically he said they had delays in receiving information and pricing on certain materials. Was that the
Yeah.
case?
Basically, through that COVID, they're struggling to get anything. So they asked for a little more. get the revisions.
Was there any bidder that, was left out because of that, or were they all able to?
No, we had 5 bidders and they all took it,
All right, good.
which is unusual.
So tell us about, with regard to the roof here at Town Hall. Troublesome roofs, nothing to take lightly, right? I mean, if your roof is compromised, that could cause problems for the entire building.
You
So
know,
tell us about the general makeup of the Town Hall roof and, the problems that may arise if you did not move forward with a replacement.
So the existing town hall is made up of 3 buildings that were built at different times. So you got that issue, you got some joints and expansion joints between the roofs. The roof that's on there, there's actually 2 roofs up there. Originally, they built up asphalt, and put down over portions of it. Subsequently, the transaction done, but EPDM or rubber membrane roof is put over that. At the time, that was allowed by code, currently, you basically have to look at these
So we had a roof that was put on top of a roof. Now, that was some years ago too, right?
Yeah, and that used to be allowed by code, but subsequently changed that because started to wait for building. So built up roofs, which was originally on here, were fairly good at keeping water out. But this is between the rubber membrane as well as the built up roof, probably its life cycle for roof like this. So that's a complication. There is asbestos in most of the roofs. So that was a consideration and fairly significant cost factor. So those are kind of the main items. It's a fairly large roof. I don't know all the leak issues, but I think there's some leak issues ongoing in the past. So basically what we looked at was basically ripping the entire roof off, both of them, dealing with the asbestos issue, getting down to the deck, seeing if there's any deck issues, because sometimes it needs to be caused by the metal decking starting to deteriorate because of steel and corrosion. And then basically go back, put in insulation that meets current energy standards. It's more considerable than what back when we usually put on. And then basically putting EPDM back on. So hopefully that'll give you 30, 35, maybe 40 years of weather type system on the roof. Get you one set of roofs. One of the issues on roofs like this, they're patched together. You start to get roof issues to get extra roofs. You're better off doing one system that you put in place because it takes care of the whole roof system. So that's kind of summing up the town hall. Move on to senior.
And there's a couple different sections of roof that are older than the others, right?
Yeah, so the entry over the main entry is pretty old. It's built up. It doesn't even have any EPDM on it.
With
Original-
EPDM?
I'm sorry?
EPDM?
EPDM, yeah. It's a rubber membrane.
Yeah.
The main roof over the original town hall is that a concrete plate back that built up asphalt on it and the buildings that we look at. There are other portions that are just metal deck in the newer additions. It's an insulation.
Now, the newest addition was 95.
Yeah.
So is that the newest part of the
Yeah.
roof?
Yeah.
Which, going on 26 years at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it starts.
Seems like yesterday.
I'm sure. Yeah,
And that's the newest part.
and that's new, but even still from the mid early 90s, insulation values are kind of come up with that.
One thing that we talked about is the work and how it will coincide with regular operations in town.
Yeah, so what we had asked the contractors basically to provide us is the weatherization plan. How they're gonna go about ripping the roof off, because people in and out of the building, you guys are all the time.
Right.
I think there's enough space around your property, as well as, most of them are on the roof. They can make it work, we basically ask them to give us a plan to show how they're gonna actually make it work, keep it running, as part of their submittal process.
Yeah, and I did mention to Zach, if we need to, close an entrance or two on a given day, we're more than happy to do that. We can put big signage and let people know well before they get to the door that, this area is not to be entered into, just for safety purposes, obviously. So we're more than happy to do that. We just want to make sure it's a safe job. Any questions for Zach? So yes, Jim. Jim wants to know if it lasts 40 years, will it outlast him?
So you have to worry about it. What kind of time frame to,
Probably fairly quick. They're probably gonna have it sitting about 2 weeks. And that, the installation is a little bit down on some of the stuff, but I think we put 120 days in there, but that's what those leaves. But I would think this one is like we can do this 10 days. The good roofing crew, I think, the people that were located at
Yeah, so let's talk about that. The low bid was 238.8 mid-state.
Yep.
And that was for town hall 238.8. One thing when we were discussing whether to do this project this year, there were a couple of elements to the decision making to even get to this point. One was, well, as the COVID pandemic came on the scene and it became clear that, governmental revenues would be down, do we want to spend a large amount of money to get these routes done? But secondly, the other part of the decision making was, well, this might be a good year from a pricing standpoint. The timing might be good to go out to bid and get a project like this completed this year. So, and I think based on these prices, the timing is good. Is that correct, Zach?
Yeah, based on what I saw, I did talk to the contractors that came out to the pre-bid. They said they were busy, but they're looking for work.
Yeah.
Usually if you bid out this time of year, especially the roofing work, you're gonna get really asked on the prices. They're looking for work and so they have so much work in front of them. So I think they're fairly hungry to get some good prices.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, with a lot of, it's kind of like we said to our highway superintendent, we approved a bid for paving early in the year, and the message was, get it done as quickly as possible. Because I knew that there were other governmental agencies, and I'm sure private concerns that were delaying projects due to the downturn in the economy. Now, tell us about the senior center roof.
So the senior center roof is a metal standing seam roof. It's a steel roof. It was originally in the building.
It is.
There's actually a couple rooms up there. There's a EPDM rubber roof on the back. We did that out as part of this because we thought it would be better in shape. So this is strictly the metal on the main building roof as well as the canopies that are on the two sides of the building. What we did is we put a couple numbers in there just because we've been finding the way the alternative that we put in there, we've been finding better prices on it. So basically, the base bid that we put in there, that building is a steel building roof. It's got a steel structure. Basically, we call it pre-engineered building, and have a good side and side. And typically, the way they used to do that when they were popular is they would roof would be the last thing that goes on. They put a vapor barrier, breaker over the steel, they put bad insulation in it, and they put the metal roof on top. That's fine, they've worked well. They're a little bit harder to get continuous vapor barriers and water vapor barriers on. Since then, these metal roof companies have come up with this thing called an insulated metal panel, which just basically takes care of all the insulation, your metal, and your vapor air barrier in one prepackaged unit that they basically get everything in place. These have been fairly expensive, but they've started coming down in price. And we're finding on some of these jobs, this one being an example, where you have to go in and rip off the metal roof, you gotta rip out the insulation, you gotta rip out the vapor barrier, that the labor starts to add up fairly quickly. So what we did was we put that in as a base bid, because that's usually the cheapest way to go, put it back exactly the same way. But we did an alternate price, and that price actually came in a little bit lower than the other option, to basically buy an insulated metal panel and then they just put it in place. It's a better system. That's why I think everybody's moving towards it. You get better insulation value. It's easier to get your vapor barrier continuous, which is important. They've been pricey in the past, but they seem to be coming down. So that's why I've started including these prices, and I think we've got a good number on that as well.
And the same bidder.
Same day, yeah.
And the other hope, not only that the prices would be attractive due to the timing of completing these two jobs this year, but also bidding them together would hopefully result in better pricing.
Which I
for
think
both
you,
jobs.
I think you've got some bigger reputable moving contractors. I mean, for example, Mono and Lloyd, I know they're doing the Syracuse Dome. They're a fairly big roofing contractor, same with Mid-State, same with they do big roof projects, so there is economics to scale, there's some cost savings. I think if I put it together, you could get
Well, the hope was if they're deployed here, I mean, it's two different types of roof, yes, but if they're deployed here for two jobs as opposed to one, there might be some savings there. And based on what you had estimated that it might be, these prices are very good. One thing I didn't ask, all right, so it's 242.4 for Mid-State. If they install the new type of roof that you just described, right, where everything's in one. So, and you would recommend going with that type of roof anyway?
Yes.
Yes, right. So we would look at the lump sum town hall, 238.8 for Mid-State, and the alternative for the senior center, 242.4. One thing I didn't ask you about to explain was additive town hall, which was another column here.
So what that is we have no idea what shape the metal roof got on this building, what kind of shape it's in.
Oh,
So typically what we'll do is so that you don't get a contractor ripping everything off and go and say, we gotta replace 800 square feet of metal, I'm gonna charge you an astronomical price. We put a unit cost in it, unit hold.
Oh,
Typically we put a square foot in this we did, but we at least got him up. He's gonna try to get a competitive number in there because he knows maybe some technical place. So then there would be a change order, but at least you know you're paying $650 a square foot as opposed to, $30.
right.
That's typically why we do that, is just to keep costs down on something that we just don't know the condition. Because if you're gonna rip the roof off, we want to replace some metal, and this is water tight, it's in heat and that shape. It could be fine.
Yeah.
We could have nothing to do. It's just something we typically do for that.
So, any questions for Zach? Does anybody? So, overall, I think I explained the reasoning for distributing these bids at one time, as well as the timing of that we're hoping to capture some positive results on the pricing side, which I think has definitely occurred. And as Zach mentioned, some very high-powered reputable companies were involved in this process, so I don't think we're going to get a better result as far as good contractors, competitive bids, very attractive prices at the end of the day. And in this case, having the same contractor do a low bidder for both jobs. As far as the condition of the roofs, when it comes to a roof, you obviously don't want to wait until the real problems arise, especially in the wintertime. That can be very problematic. So I think the timing is right to get this, to get these two jobs completed now before the bad weather does come our way, and while we have these very attractive prices solidified. And Zach assures us that time remaining on a new roof, once it's installed, will outlast Mr. Romano. So, do you expect, that's a challenge, yeah, that's a challenge. Do you expect any, I mean, are there any energy savings that come about from the new roof?
You should, I mean, we didn't do any kind of calculation,
Yeah.
but you're bringing it up to current code for both buildings. It's gonna help. Can't get the number on it.
Yeah.
It's definitely, and that's why we keep increasing.
So I understand this is a large amount of money at one time, but we will be able to solve two big projects at one time at an attractive price and eliminate any issues that may arise. We've seen some signs already that roofs are showing wear, and that is a concern. All right. Thanks, Zach. Anything you want? Oh, yeah.
Start time for them.
I'm sure they can start.
All right, now you really.
So as part of the resolution, I'd like to, if the board is agreeable, enter in those two bids. It'd be Midstate Industries, 238.8, a lump sum town hall, and alternative senior center bid, Chris, 242.4. And then, as Zach described, if we have any steel issues, that would be 650. So that's what I would recommend we add in the resolution as a low bid. All right, any further discussion? Thank you, Chris.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Swalowitz? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, so I guess the two buildings will be good for another 35, 40 years or so. All right, did you receive any comments, Chris?
No.
Okay. With that, I don't have anything further. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second by Mr. Ware. Chris, you can call the roll, please.
Councilman Whalen? Councilwoman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, thank you.
Probably a lot of guys looking for.